And eventually he says, yeah, I guess you could eat it. Is it moose cock? Because they just have, moose cock on the brain all the time. It's actually, it's a really old joke. It's I've heard it before with, rednecks and horse cock. But of course, rednecks are my people, so I have to use Canadians. Both of my parents are from Arkansas. My whole family is from Arkansas, and mostly just this one particular area of northwest Arkansas in the Ozarks. My dad grew up in a town of fewer than 300 people way out in the boondocks in the mountains. My grandparents are from Paris, Arkansas. And not even Paris, Texas. It was Paris, Arkansas. Then moved to Colorado when I was about 7, and that's where I grew up. Absolute earliest memory. I remember, feeling the rhythm of the stroller, when you're being pushed in a stroller and feeling the ba-bump, ba-bump, ba-bump of the stroller going over the cracks in the sidewalk. And it was a beautiful blue, cloudless day, much like this one, and I remember lying in my stroller looking up at the sky and thinking about the sky and being absolutely terrified all of a sudden. I was just like, oh my god, the infinite. My dad used to read to me when I was a kid, and I remember we read Alice in Wonderland and The Hobbit, and there's one particular sentence from The Hobbit that is just embedded in my brain, which is toward the end of the book, when there's a big battle at the end, and Thorin Oakenshield, son of Thrain and King Under the Mountain, says to the men of the lake, "Begone, ere our arrows fly." And I remember that sentence because I asked my dad what the word "ere" meant, E-R-E, and he said it's sort of an old-fashioned way of saying before, and so that word is just stuck in my memory. Kids were in the school library flipping through books of poetry, trying to find something to write about, and I was flipping through this anthology, and I came across Allen Ginsberg's America, and the 5th line of the poem is, "Go fuck yourself with your atom bomb," which made an enormous impression on me. I was living in this god-awful apartment, and I wrote until I ran out of money, and then I was desperate for a job, so I got a job working at this bagel place. I was baking bagels in the middle of the night. I would get up at about 2:30 in the morning, get to work at 3 o'clock a.m., and bake bagels, and then get off of work at about 10 or 11, go home and write all afternoon until I just collapsed from exhaustion. Jonathan Ames read my book. He went to this literary festival in Italy, and I picked him up from the airport, and he had read my book on the plane on his way back from Italy, and when I picked him up from the airport, he had just finished reading it. And on the way back, I was kind of probing him for criticism and saying, what are the parts that, just about plot points, parts of the book that were working or weren't working or whatever. And he said, well, these parts could be better, I think, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, when, at the end of it, he said, but, you're a writer. You'll figure these things out.